Ever found yourself tangled in the web of connecting to a server using winscp and putty? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to unravel the mystery of these two powerful tools, winscp and putty. First off, let's demystify these names. winscp, which stands for Windows Secure Copy, is a free and open-source utility for Microsoft Windows that allows you to securely transfer files between your local computer and a remote computer. On the other hand, putty is a free and open-source terminal emulator, serial console, and network file transfer application. It supports several network protocols including SCP, SSH, Telnet, RLogin, and raw socket connection, making it a versatile tool for remote system administration. These tools might seem a bit daunting at first, but trust me, they're simpler than they sound. By the end of this video, you'll be making those connections with your eyes closed. So buckle up and let's dive in. Before we start connecting, we need the right tools in our arsenal. That means installing winscp and putty. To kick off, let's get winscp. This is a secure FTP client that allows us to transfer files to and from our server. It's like the mailman of the digital world, delivering our data right where it needs to go. Navigate to the official winscp website. Yes, it's important to get it from the official source to avoid any unwanted surprises. We're looking for a free, open-source software, not a Trojan horse, right? Once you're on the website, click on the Download Now button. You'll be taken to a page with different versions of the software. Choose the one that suits your operating system. If you're using Windows 10, select the latest version for Windows. If you're on a Mac, you'll need to download a separate program called CyberDuck. After the download is complete, open the installer and follow the prompts. It's as easy as making a sandwich. Just click Next until you get to the Finish button. Now, winscp is ready for action. Next up, we need putty. This is a free, open-source terminal emulator. It's like a translator, allowing us to speak the same language as our server. To download putty, go to the official putty website. Again, make sure it's the official site. We don't want any uninvited guests in our system. Click on the Download Putty button and you'll be taken to a page with different versions of the software. Select the one that matches your operating system. If you're using Windows, select the Windows installer. If you're on a Mac, you'll need to use a similar program like Terminal. Once the download is complete, open the installer and follow the prompts. It's like a walk in the park, just click Next until you get to the Finish button. And just like that, putty is installed and ready to roll. And voila! You now have winscp and putty installed. Half the battle is won. Now that we've got our tools, let's get familiar with winscp. Think of winscp as your digital command center, your personal bridge to the world of servers. It's like being the captain of a spaceship, but instead of navigating galaxies, you're navigating files and folders. As you open winscp, you're greeted by the Session panel. This is your launch pad. You'll notice fields for hostname, port number, username, and password. These details are your coordinates, guiding you to your server destination. It's like punching in the GPS coordinates for an exotic, far-off star system. Next, we have the File Protocol dropdown. This is your spaceship's engine type. Most of the time, you'll be using SFTP, but other options like SCP and FTP are also available, depending on your specific needs. Moving on, we have the Commander interface. This is your spaceship's control panel where you can see and manage files on both your local machine and your server. It's a bit like having a bird's eye view of two different planets at once. The left side shows files on your local machine, while the right side displays files on the server. You can easily move files between these two worlds with a simple drag and drop. It's like having a teleportation device at your fingertips. Now, let's talk about transfer settings. This is like your spaceship speed and handling controls. Here, you can set the transfer mode and other options. For example, choosing Automatic will let winscp decide the best way to transfer your files, kind of like an autopilot. Finally, don't forget the Save button. This is like setting a bookmark for a favorite star system. You can save your session details to quickly connect to the same server in the future. It's like having a shortcut to your favorite intergalactic destinations. With this knowledge, you're ready to conquer the world of winscp. Okay, now it's time to make our first connection with winscp. First things first, let's go ahead and launch winscp. Once the application is up and running, you'll see a login screen. This is where the magic happens. We're going to add a new site, so click on the New Site button. Now, let's fill in the details. You'll need to enter the host name, which is essentially the IP address of the server you want to connect to. Then enter the port number. The default port for SFTP is 22, but if your server uses a different port, make sure to enter that. Next up, we have the username and password. These are the credentials you'd normally use to log into your server. If your server uses key-based authentication, you'll need to click on the Advanced button, then Authentication, and then Private Key File to locate and select your private key file. Once you've entered all your details, it's a good idea to save this session for future use. Trust me, you don't want to be entering all these details every time you want to connect. So, click on the Save button, give your session a name, and click OK. Now, you're all set to connect. Just click on the Login button. If everything is entered correctly, you'll be connected to your server in no time. Remember, winscp will ask for your password every time you connect, unless you've used key-based authentication. So keep that password handy, or better yet, use a password manager. And remember, if you're having trouble connecting, double-check your details. The smallest typo can throw a wrench in the works. And just like that, you've made your first connection using winscp. Easy peasy, right? Now let's switch gears and take a look at Putty. This nifty tool, Putty, is your gateway to the world of Secure Shell, or SSH. It's a free and open-source terminal emulator, serial console, and network file transfer application. It's like your personal bridge to remote servers. When you launch Putty, you're greeted with the session configuration screen. Here's where you enter the host name or IP address of the server you want to connect to. You can also select the connection type: SSH, Telnet, Relogan, or RAW. Next, you'll see the category tree on the left. This is where you configure the settings. It's like the control room of your Putty journey. You can tweak everything from terminal settings to SSH security options. And the best part? You can save your session settings for future use. No need to enter the same details over and over. Just click Save and you're good to go. So that's Putty in a nutshell. Simple yet powerful. All right, time to put our Putty knowledge to the test. Let's connect to a server. Imagine Putty as your digital passport, ready to take you on a journey to the far corners of the internet. To begin with, we need to provide some details to our trusty guide, Putty. First off, we need to specify our destination. That's the host name or IP address. This is like the address of the server we want to visit. It's a unique identifier that tells Putty exactly where to take us. So go ahead and enter that in the host name field. Next, we have port. Think of this as the specific door or gate at our destination. Servers can have multiple ports, each serving different purposes. The default port for SSH is 22, but your server might use a different one, so make sure you enter the correct one here. Now it's time to choose our mode of transport. In the connection type section, we can select SSH, Telnet, or Serial. For most of you, SSH will be the go-to choice. It's like a secure and encrypted tunnel that keeps our data safe during the journey. Once you've got all that in, it's time to embark on our journey. Click on Open and Putty will start connecting to the server. It might ask you to accept the server's host key if this is your first time connecting. This is just Putty ensuring that it's taking you to the right place. Click Yes, and you'll be prompted to enter your username and password. Enter your credentials and voila, you're in. You've successfully navigated the digital landscape and arrived at your server destination. And just like magic, you're connected to a server with Putty. Give yourself a pat on the back.